gonna hit record, which I just did. Cool. So Sloan, Sloan Struble, shall I say?
That's right. Yeah,
Cool. AKA Dayglow, right? Yeah.
that's me.
Cool, man. Like I've just recently, just been introduced to your stuff. Like, well, the other day, yesterday I just turned 35, so I'm kind of like like out
No
of,
way.
but yeah. So I'm kind of out of range of.
Happy late birthday.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I'm kind of like, I get to study up on, up and coming sounds and stuff like that. And I really dig your stuff. It's super positive. It makes my body move, and that's awesome. And but can you kind of let's just dive into like, where does your musical journey begin, man? Like,
Yeah.
how did you get to this point? Because I know it seems like you just had rapid traction after self-releasing your first album, Fuzzy Brain, correct?
hmm
I think
Yeah.
you just had like a world tour like last year, was it? And
Um. Yeah. I toured in the U.S. I supported Coin for half of that tour, then the other half I did headline. And then I supported Hobo Johnson in the UK this past December. So I've been, touring quite a bit. Obviously, right now touring's on halt. I had a lot of plans over the next couple months to be on the road right now. I think actually today would have been my first day back home, like being out on the road. So strange to like have been at home for a while. But yeah, I guess the start of my musical journey. Both of my parents were singers. They were country singers, and they met at the show. It's kind of hard to describe, but they met backstage at this like country music show, and they sang at church. And so it wasn't really a situation where they were like pushing me to like be a musician as well. And I never really honestly like looked at my parents as like musicians, but yeah, I guess that's like how it's in my blood. But I just learned stuff from YouTube from a young age. At like 10, I got introduced to GarageBand and just got like hooked on writing and producing music. Yeah, and so fast forward a little over a decade, and here I am.
that's crazy, man. For me, it's kind of surreal because like, you know, the internet was just getting big when I was in like middle school and high school, and you like I think, are you still 20?
I'm 20. Yeah, I turned 21 in August.
Okay, but it's like I'm like, yeah, yesterday 35. I'm like, whoa, that's like almost a 15-year difference, and it's
Yeah.
like crazy. Do you even know what a dial tone sounds like, man?
I mean, possibly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, so that's what. Did you grow up in Austin, or did I read somewhere you grew up kind of in Aldo, Texas? Was it?
It's called Aledo. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So I grew up in Aledo, which is like a suburb of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And I lived there all my life until last year, where I actually moved to Austin initially to be a student at UT. And have just stayed since. I'm not in school anymore, but yeah, I've just always wanted to move to Austin whenever I like grew up. And I guess I'm growing up now, so I'm here.
Well, like in high school and like kind of school, was it like big on sports and like um and did you like, is that when you kind of developed music where you're like, I don't kind of fit in with the jocks and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny to like look back and think like there's definitely a cliche where like the jocks and like the art kid,
Yeah.
but it was kind of a different thing for me because I was like, at least I felt like the only art kid. So I went to a public school up until high school, and I transferred to a small private school in Fort Worth, which had like 100 people in my class, I think, which is fairly big for some private schools. But for me, it just kind of felt like a big transition from going to like a big public school into just 100 people.
Yeah.
And pretty much mostly everyone which there's totally nothing wrong with. But, like, they were just like athletes and like had been kind of raised just like doing sports. And that was kind of like their thing. And for me, I tried, like, I love to be active. That's something like I've been outside like all day, and I love to go on runs, but I'm just not competitive, like recreationally competitive. So sports have never really like been my thing. It's like I tried, but I just never really did it. Or I never felt like I was competitive enough to be like on the team. So yeah, I just kind of did my own thing. Just learned how to make music in my room.
So when did you start hashing out the idea for Fuzzy Brain, or concept, the tracks and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I mean, just being the age that I was, you naturally go through phases as a human, like you kind of figure out who you are, and I definitely still am, like only 20. But I definitely went through some musical phases while producing like music. Like in middle school, I was like real into dubstep, and starting like early high school, I just like took a hard turn into more like singer-songwriter folk, like Connor Oberst, Bright Eyes type stuff. And then around the same time, like a year later, is when I like found like Passion Pit, MGMT, Two Door Cinema Clubs, the classic like straight up like indie pop music. And I guess all of those influences just kind of started my sound that I have now, which I mean is definitely changing. But Dayglow came out of the idea of wanting to kind of as like a creative project to produce and write songs that could be played live by a 5-piece band. Because I'm definitely like an overthinker, so that transitions into production a lot of times. Like I had way too many layers, way too many effects. And so with Dayglow, I wanted to produce songs that could be played live by 5 people on stage. So that's kind of how the idea formed. And then Fuzzy Brain just was like my first collection of Dayglow songs.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now with that, you released it at when, around 2018. And then how did you kind of get picked up by a label, right? Or
so I had released a couple of the songs as singles, but I released Fuzzy Brain as a whole in late September of 2018. And it just started gaining traction, and I like met my managers, and then I re-released the album on AWOL, which is like a distribution label, and I added 2 songs to the album. And yeah, just kind of like re-released it almost as if it's like a deluxe version, but it's like the version. So yeah, I don't know, but that was actually pretty much just a year later.
Oh wow, yeah,
that's
crazy though. It's like, you self-released, and what was the feedback like during that time period from 2018 until you got picked up? Like, what were people saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess in a really good way, like people weren't really sure what it exactly was, because at first it was like bedroom pop, and people like were like, this is definitely bedroom pop. But then it kind of started shifting into just like normal alternative music. And yeah, I guess like people's perception has kind of changed with time. But I haven't really, I'm sure I have like haters, but I haven't really like seen anything online that's negative, which is a really good, awesome thing. So people have responded really well to it, which I mean, definitely encourages me. But yeah, I don't know.
oh, it seems like your stuff is super positive. So it's like, I don't know how anybody could really attack it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm just like moved to it, and so it's awesome. What were you like? What attracts you to this type of music? Is it like the reception you see with like the audience, and you see people just being happy, or that energy?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's just like naturally what music I make. I didn't really go into making Dayglow songs and knowing like I'm going to be like make strictly optimistic music. I think I'm just like a fairly optimistic person. And it just kind of happens naturally that I like try to talk about real things and like show that there is like possibly hope at the end of this situation, because I feel like hope is just like a rare adjective in pop music nowadays. But yeah, I don't know, I just want to use the gifts that I have to brighten people's days. I don't want that to sound like cliche or anything, but I've just always wanted, to make fun music. I feel like it's easier. I feel like people enjoy it more. It's like why would I not? So
I think I found that more of a rarity to, just make fun music nowadays,
yeah,
like,
it's crazy. How
yeah.
does that happen?
Yeah, well, especially nowadays, everybody's so kind of pessimistic and kind of
Yeah,
down. And it's like we need just fun music to get our souls kind of back
yeah,
up to happy. But
yeah. And I mean, I always think there's a time and place for everything, and so I don't think like sad music is a bad thing. I think it can be helpful. Like I definitely listen to sad music sometimes, but it like dominates the charts. Not necessarily sad music. It's just like, I don't know. There's just a certain vibe in pop culture that seems like is missing. So I don't know. Just kind of luckily what I would naturally make kind of fits the void.
so can you talk about like a bit about your process, like how do you concept like lyrics for a song, or like the compositional elements to
yeah.
your songs as well?
I mean, it kind of just depends on each song. It's kind of different for me considering I don't really have like steps in the process because I'm just doing it all myself. So I kind of just like, as vague as it sounds, I just like kind of base my songs off of like a general vibe. So sometimes that'll be like a phrase I heard someone say and that'll become a lyric. A lot of times it's just starting off with an instrumental. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the process always differs song to song.
Well, do you pull any kind of like external um influences, say like cultural, like do you watch any like types of film or read any books or
Yeah.
like that would kind of influence you? Or
Lately I've been definitely into like 70s pop culture. I mean, I've always loved the Beatles, but I think like the late Beatles stuff, even into like the whole disco funk scene, I've been like really into, like Michael McDonald. Um, I wouldn't say like James Taylor's like disco, but just like a general like funk inspired like yacht rock type vibe I've been
yeah.
really into lately. That doesn't really like translate into Fuzzy Brain, but I guess where my head's at now, I've been really into like Soul Train, like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think when creating Fuzzy Brain, I'm very like visually inspired by Wes Anderson. Um, Sonically, I like love Phoenix. Like I said, Passion Pit, MGMT, just that like 2011 indie pop is kind of what I was trying to reference to in Fuzzy Brain.
Yeah, I can hear that too, like
Yeah,
definitely like Passion Pit, MGMT, and stuff like that, and it kind
yeah.
of resonates too. So it's cool. It's cool. Like, so how have you been adjusting? Well, we can wrap back to the kind of present. Like, how have you been adjusting with this current situation where I know you've, of course, had to cancel a lot of tour dates.
Yeah.
Um, so how have you been, or how have you been adjusting to it, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's just so strange for everyone. I'm trying to do my best. I mean, there's always good days and bad days. That's quarantine or not. But I don't know. I think there's been a lot of self-reflection time, a lot of time to just like figure out what to do and I'm totally bored, just like kind of see what I would naturally do.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting, kind of says a lot about myself where I'm at. But yeah, it was definitely a bummer having to cancel all the shows, but I'm confident everything will be back fairly soon. So, and I'll be playing shows as soon as I can.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, um, sorry, I sometimes just kind of zonk out. Sorry.
oh,
Um,
I zonk out too.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I had a question, but then I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
like I'm just looking at it like I kind of want to be in Austin right now because it's like so sunny. It looks like, and I'm like,
yeah, you should come, man.
it's been so like like rainy and it's like kind of drab here. So,
Yeah,
um, I've read on your site you kind of like donated, you know, like tour more merch you've had in stock to like sweet sweet relief. Is that
sweet
correct?
relief. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do you link up with them, or how do you know about that foundation, nonprofit, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so my managers actually kind of let me know about Sweet Relief specifically, but it all kind of happened because we just so on our drive up from Austin to Chicago, which was going to be our first show of the tour, everything just kind of happened, and we basically realized like we can't do this tour once we got to Chicago, so we
Hmm.
played the 2 Chicago shows and then drove back to Austin. Um, and once I got back, I just realized like I have these huge tubs of like shirts that I would be selling at a lot of shows. So it's a large quantity of shirts, and I was like, and they have like the tour dates and everything on them. So I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do with these shirts. So I thought, might as well, if they're just going to be sitting around, like, might as well try to put them to a good cause. And so people have been awesome, just like buying the stuff. And yeah, all the proceeds is going to Sweet Relief for the tour merch.
That's cool, man. That's
Yeah,
because like I know so many people like well, particularly like say like you know in the industry that not just bands but like photographers like myself that cover you know live performances and
yeah,
you know everybody else in the you know the industry has obviously been kind of suffering. And I
yeah.
looked on your schedule like maybe on Instagram that I think you had one date in Boston. And that's where I'm from. Initially from Boston,
Okay.
at Great Scott, and now I just recently heard they permanently shut down because of they closed. So there's a lot
Oh
of
no.
venues closing down across the country due to
Yeah,
the COVID crisis. But it's like it's good to see like an organization like that to support um, people that supplement the musicians as well. You know.
yeah, yeah. I think what they're doing is awesome. And it's been really encouraging to see like immediately once everybody saw that this kind of thing was happening, I think a lot of people like immediately like thought like how can we help each other, which I think
Mm,
says a lot about where the world's at. People always seem to think that things are falling apart to an extent. I mean, the world is crazy,
mm.
but it was really cool seeing how people immediately started asking how they can help, which is
Well,
cool.
well, I'm kind of curious, like from your kind of generational perspective, because like I know you know my realm is kind of you know in my age, but I'm kind of how are you guys kind of reacting to it too, like because I'm kind of on and off of social media, and I'm not like in that realm, but like
Yeah,
how is like your age group kind of reacting to it? Is it just like whatever, or like or they?
yeah. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the person. I think generally it seems like um, everyone's really, at least everyone I've seen on social media, has been really cautious and
Hmm,
kind of like in an odd way, just like prepared to change things quickly. I feel like things change really fast nowadays, and I feel like my age, like generation, is just kind of used to that.
hmm.
So I feel like we've adapted and kind of been, um, yeah, just cautious. But I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's yeah. You can't really like. It's hard to kind of like step outside and say my gener. It's like
Yeah.
you're in just the present, so it's like you
Yeah.
can't like step away and be like this
Yeah.
observer of things and judge and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's weird. Sorry, I tend to go into the heady academic questions. Do you have like the
Dude.
broader kind of perspective?
Yeah. Keep it coming.
And so,
Come on.
question as well. Like you said, you were going to UT, and you kind of put a pause on that. Was your intention to just fully pursue music and touring and building your musical career?
The reason I dropped out is because of everything that was happening with Dayglow, and
Mm,
um yeah, I definitely hope I don't have to go back to school. I don't think I will. But I think my goal and dream has always to like I used to say, like I want to get a degree, but I don't want to have to use it. Like I think
yeah,
music's always been the goal, and so it's awesome that I can do it now. No one knows what's going to happen in the future, but um, everything's awesome right now, and so I just kind of like had this crazy opportunity, and school in a weird way like would have just totally like slowed me down. So
totally. Yeah.
kind of just let go of it.
Now, can you like can you talk about the process of like you created the album, right, and so you self-released, but how did you get that crazy traction? So, or what did you do? Did you just you put it out there, but you kind of had to self-promote too? Or how did you get the I guess viewers and people on the excitement online to get that to the next level? Like because
Yeah.
I'm totally like
Yeah.
dumbfounded at that aspect.
Yeah. It's been pretty wild how like organic organically it's grown. Because I guess I like subconsciously was marketing it, but I never like paid anyone to like write anything or like do anything to like market it. I just like made the music videos that are on YouTube, and I emailed like a couple blogs initially. When the album first came out, I was like, "Hey, you might like this."
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think I've just been like really personal with fans as much as I can. Like, I really like can't anymore, but I used to respond to all my messages and like just keep it as one on one as possible. So it's crazy how it's just grown and um, become like a really solid like fan base. I've some incredible fans, and yeah, it's been wild how quickly it can grow, but like really grow in a real way.
Hmm.
Like it's definitely been a viral moment, but
Hmm.
like I feel like attached to that kind of feels like it won't last, and I really think it's just starting to grow, which is really cool. It's
So
encouraging.
yeah, no, totally, man. Like, there's few people that would get this opportunity just straight out of their box, from like
Yeah.
initial album and getting all this traction,
Yeah.
and I've talked to all sorts of artists, and it takes years, to build up, some traction and getting your exposure, your name out
Mhm.
there. But you seem to have done it super well, like,
Thanks.
and it's cool. And I love your kind of visual language too in your videos. Like it's colors, the framing, like kind of like you said, kind of like Wes Anderson kind of thing going on. Uh,
Yeah.
can you just talk about like the day? Can I call you tonight? Kind of visual, like the video game kind of
Yeah.
visual.
Yeah, so the visualizer, the lyric video that we recently made, I teamed up with an animator named Johnny Chu,
Mm.
and yeah, he just did an awesome job. I thought it'd be fun to make a lyric video that was like ironically distracting from the lyrics, because like it's like a lyric video but there's like so much going on, and yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do like an 8-bit like video game kind of thing.
So along this journey, has your family's been supportive? I assume, or
Yeah.
like totally. Because you know, it's like some families like, are you sure? Are you crazy? You should
Yeah.
go to school, you know,
Yeah.
you get your degree. But then, you
Yeah.
know, you talk to people like that haven't done anything with their degrees either. So it's like,
Right. Yeah.
it's cool that you found your thing, your passion. So
Yeah.
so like, what really drives you? Like, what's gonna continue? What's gonna make you continue? You know, we have this lull and this obstacle, but what's your kind of motivating factor to continue with this kind of profession, which is, of course, tough, particularly nowadays?
Yeah. I think, well, first and foremost, I'm just like, I'm working on new music, so new music will be around the corner when everything opens up and clears up. So yeah, I'm really confident in the stuff I'm making now, but yeah, I'm just excited. I think it's only the beginning of what's happening, and I think people are going to be really eager for shows to be going on once they can. So
Oh, totally. Yeah.
yeah, um, I don't know. I'm just excited.
Yeah, I get you, man. Like, it's just, you got to do it, right? You just got to create.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Curious. So, like, do you see the sound, your type of sound evolving, say, like in 10, 20 years, you know, down the road, like, you know, things could change. Definitely technology would change, but do you ever think about that? Maybe it's too early right now, but kind of just like, where can I build this in the future? Like this sound, or will I evolve into something else? Or
Yeah. I love when albums feel like they're their own thing, like Kanye West is an example. Like Kanye specifically has like Yeezus songs,
mm,
and like it's like that was his sonic sound for that album. So I've always thought that's a fun thing when artists change their sound album to album, and so I'm gonna try to do that to an extent. I think me just naturally as a person, like I'm growing up, so I'm changing already. So my sound will definitely change, but also like staying true to myself and still making it feel like Dayglow. But
mm,
I don't know. I guess I'll have to wait and see. I've been, like I said, really into like 70s disco stuff, so that's
yeah.
starting to show in my music. But yeah,
Now, do you have like a you know, partner, girlfriend, anything, anybody that's there, or that kind of influence you, or you just kind of date
yeah,
around? Or,
I'm
I
a
don't know.
single man.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you kind of writing kind of ballads, you know. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. A lot of these things are just like imaginary stories. I'm a pretty imaginative and like emotional person, so if somebody else tells me a story, I can pretty quickly and immediately like personally like process it and write about it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Now, do you read any books at all, or like any
Yeah,
any
that's kind
literature?
of been one of my quarantine goals is to read more. But I'm big into C.S. Lewis. I'm not sure if you've read much of his stuff, but yeah, I
I've,
mean, other
like,
than that, I
yeah,
need to read more. But
yeah, yeah. Well, it's like, you know, you can read, and or, well, with your weather, you're like just going outside, and like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
daydream, man. And that I find like just wandering sometimes, you come up with the best ideas when your mind's just super relaxed and just like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
now, have you actually? So I haven't been to Texas. You know, I'm a Northeast guy. I haven't had the opportunity to even. I would love to kind of go to Austin, and, you know, of course, with South by Southwest, but of course
yeah,
this year was canceled. But have you
yeah.
ever had the opportunity to dive into South by Southwest, or? Um,
I did South by last year.
yeah,
It's a confusing thing. I mean, South by's crazy. Um, it was mostly just like unofficial showcases, just like in backyards and stuff. And
yeah,
I did one official showcase that was at like 1 a.m. It's a crazy thing. I mean, a lot of people were still out. Like, it doesn't really like slow down. But I did South by last year, and I love it because I love Austin. But I probably won't do it again.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a really cool showcase. It's just so hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like ideal venue or like a venue you just like I definitely want to play, like get to that level or like
Yeah. I mean, I could dream real big. I think playing like Coachella would be really cool.
yeah.
Having like a good slot at Coachella to
Hmm.
me is like sick. Or if I got to play at Ace, I did play ACL this past year, which was incredible. But if I had like a time slot, the sun is starting to set at like not necessarily the main stage, but like second to the main stage, that's my dream. If I could get to that like type of artistry, like that'd be cool.
Yeah, man. That sounds. I just placed myself there too as a member in the audience. Just like I miss
Yeah.
I miss festivals, man. Like it just
Yeah, I know.
yeah. I'm getting
It's
stir
such a
crazy.
bummer how
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many are getting canceled.
So have you done any of like Facebook Live kind of things or like social media live performances or what have you been doing to kind of keep like your audience or your listeners kind of engaged with your work?
I've done a couple live streams. I'm not like I've been kind of hesitant on the live stream thing. I feel like it's definitely like getting oversaturated where like there's so many live streams going on.
True.
And I
Yeah.
also don't like I'm not huge on like acoustic performances. I
Hmm.
think like I've seen some that are incredible, but for me personally, like with these Dayglow songs, like they're designed to be played by 5 people. So it's just kind of weird when I'm like playing it feels like I'm playing a fifth of the song,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think they're really fun, but I've been just kind of trying to get creative with the way that I stay in touch with everyone.
Hmm.
Um, hopefully soon it can just be back to normal, but who knows?
Yeah, yeah. Well, who's on stage with you when you perform live? It's you said Dayglow is designed for 5. So
Yeah,
can you talk about like the elements that make up Dayglow when
yeah,
you
yeah. So
perform stage?
the current lineup, my drummer's name is Brady Knippa.
Hmm.
He's awesome. The guy's playing bass named Peyton Harrington. The guy who plays guitar right now is named Nate Davis, and the guy who plays keys and synth stuff is Nori Swafford.
Hmm.
And they're all just honestly friends of mine from Austin.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's been a blast touring, and I'm just all playing together.
That's cool, man. Like, well, like initially it was like, is it just yourself, or or is it's
Yeah,
um you compose most of the songs and lyrics, and then you perform
yeah,
with.
yeah. I write in everything on Fuzzy Brain. I played all the parts and recorded and
Cool.
put it on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What was I gonna say? Like, oh man, once again, like zonked out. Well, I'm kind of back at that Coachella, like just in the field, waiting for some heavy sets to go. So I'm ready to
Yeah.
go to a festival, man. Like talking about it, I'm like in that headspace. Oh, what else? So I Oh, so like with this type of music, what do you think kind of resonates with people? Like, why do you think it works so well right now in this current day and age in the market? I guess like what do why do you think people are attracted to your stuff, your sound, your lyrics?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think there's a certain level of honesty. Like I'm pretty much just being myself. Um, and I think the fact that it's optimistic is what people are attracted to. It's just upbeat and fun and easy listening and yeah.
Yeah, man. Sorry. Um, Once again, I'm just like, so I don't know. What is there like I don't know. What's so I guess right now it's just trying to get back to live performances, right? and just getting out there and performing. Is that
Yeah,
the kind of situation now?
that I'm definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to playing shows again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm just working on the next record.
Anything? Well, it's hard to project now with with this stuff, but anything kind of scheduled, but then it's probably like tentatively. Anything down the road or
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff planned, but it's just hard to say like what's
yeah,
coming up, you know.
yeah. Um, I don't know, man. Like, I- it's I don't know. I, it's yeah. Once again, I'm kind of hitting a wall, but it's. How do you think? I don't know. I guess like w- and a longevity. Where do you see your music? Uh, do you think you're actually sorry. Do you think your music will kind of have longevity? Once again, it's kind of just futuristic, kind of hindsight.
Yeah.
Down the road. Maybe it's kind of redundant in the same play off of what I asked, but do you think will cross transfer kind of like throughout a couple decades or who knows though? But
Yeah. Who knows, man? I hope.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Be cool.
yeah. Um, well, man, like anything else like you like to touch base, like anything interesting you that's out, or you just kind of creating new stuff and kind of holding pattern. Um,
Yeah, nothing I can really think of that we haven't touched base on.
yeah, yeah.
Have you done anything fun for your birthday?
Well, it was actually super interesting. Well, it was just kind of, I mean, it was downpouring, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
and generally, I like to go out with friends and have dinner, like a good dinner
Right. Yeah.
stuff. But yesterday is pretty interesting, man. Like, I'm lucky enough to have a partner who believes in my work, and she's a publicist and has been a publicist in the music industry for years.
Wow.
She kind of pulled some strings, and I got some surprises like some rare 45, some Jack White, and which was cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like
That's so cool.
a signed personal note from him, and
Man.
like uh, oh, he kind of disappeared for a
Yeah.
second. And also like a nice note from Adam Driver. The
Whoa.
Yeah, and
That's
another
super cool.
another note from kind of Paul Rudd and stuff like that. Yeah. It was like
Dude.
it was a weird birthday because then like I got some emails from like you know Taika Waititi, the director,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
there was this chain of emails from Flight of the Concords, those guys in New Zealand. It was just
Dude.
it was trippy, man.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That
It
sounds
was
like a great birthday.
yeah, it was super trippy, but it was just also I was just kind of like reflecting. I'm like, where did my 20s go? Like, where did my like early 30s go? I'm 35 now. It's like crap. Like, what?
Mm.
I mean, I'm not in my mind. I'm still young, and it's like I just
Yeah.
wanna.
Well,
As a,
you are
yeah.
still young. Yeah, man. There's a lot
it,
to do.
but it's like for me, it was like 35. I'm like close to 40, and then 40 is like, oh my, like,
Yeah.
um, but it's like it was good though. I just touched base with family too via, phone calls and emails
Yeah.
and social media. But uh, all around, that's all I can ask for. Like everybody's
Yeah.
healthy on my end, and
That's great.
um, have the opportunity to just talk to interesting people like yourself. Continue building this series, and also, I do visual arts. I paint, and I write a lot of poetry. So all month in April, I've written a poem every day. Just
Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, yeah,
Man, yeah, you're keeping busy. That's awesome.
yeah. So yeah, it's like I have to. My mind's like I got to do something no matter what. If even in this situation,
Yeah.
I'm just like fascinated with um, like I kind of said in the beginning, just why, creators create and like the processes behind it. So it's like, I
Yeah,
heard
man.
your sound is super interesting, and it's good to kind of connect. Um, if yeah, I guess like we can wrap and keep it kind of a bit short, but I don't want to take up any more of your creative time. But it looks
Yeah.
super nice out. I'm like, I long for the beach. I like growing up on the coast. I long for, I love the ocean. So it's like for me, the ocean is where I get my proper headspace and just
Yeah.
meditate. You know, but it's like, uh, I just, but hey, what are you gonna do? But I'm certainly looking forward to kind of hearing what you come out with next, and with your new stuff. And I
Yeah.
wish, and I hope I can capture you soon live, because I feel like your music will translate excellent in a physical environment, because it's like
Yeah.
when people all around you dancing, it's like the
Yeah.
energy, that
Yeah.
energy.
Shows have been really fun.
Yeah. Well, it's like, do you notice that transference too? Like that, like if you're really into it, the crowd's really into it, and it's like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a back and forth.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I'm just having a blast, and most of the time they are, and so it's been really cool.
Yeah, man. So I guess I'll let you go. But once again, thank you so much for
Yeah.
chatting a bit about your music and your upcoming ever expanding career, which is super impressive. And I'm sure we'll see more of you post all this, and
Yeah.
when we figure out how to kind of perform again. But and it's keep it positive, and
Yeah.
you seem like a dude that will. So good luck, and
Yeah.
thank you
Well,
so much.
thanks. Yeah. I appreciate your time as well.
Take care, man. Be
Yeah.
well.
You too. Have a good rest of your day.
Peace, man. You too.
See ya.